Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu rasulillah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is your brother Gaya Romani from mytazkiyah.com. Again on the road, alhamdulillah. We're taking your questions. And today's question is, how to overcome anxieties about intimacy with your spouse or your future spouse. Like, for example, insecurities about oneself. Okay, this can be coming from brothers and sisters. So let us address both. Let's start with the ladies first. So, when it comes to anxieties and insecurities, sadly, due to the social media, the environment that's been pushed on the world through social media, Instagram, TikTok specifically, where people post pictures of their gains, their workouts, their progress, and everyone's watching it. Of course, these guys are, and these girls are, they're models, right? Especially the women. And a lot of them go through surgeries. But what you see is only highlights. Imagine only snapping 1% of your life and highlighting it and putting it for everyone else to see. That's what a lot of women don't understand. But they basically compare that to themselves. Imagine, again, your own, like, the best of the best, when your whole life, the best time you've ever spent, we felt the best about yourself, and you put it for everyone to see. Because this is Snapchat and Instagram. They don't see you in your daily life. They don't see with your struggle. You don't see these women when they wake up. You wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror and like, man, I don't really like the way I look. And then you first thing you do, you open Instagram or Snapchat, and you watch these women, as a sister, I mean, and you're like, oh my God, I feel so bad about myself. Why do you feel bad about yourself? Is it because you want to help yourself, because you want to protect yourself? No, it's because you have something to compare to too much. Now, I'm not saying don't have a standard of beauty and look good and take care of yourself. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is to understand what's been happening with how society conditions you and adds to this insecurity, this doubt about yourself. Now, on the other side, the bitter pill to swallow is that a lot of women in the Muslim Ummah, again, not all of them, but some of them, let's say, you might say, how do you know? Let's not necessarily go there. But they are not in good shape. They don't take care of themselves. They equate piety to being, sometimes not taking care of themselves. But then they still watch these videos and TikToks and compare themselves to these so-called models. So of course they're going to feel bad about themselves. Not to mention, when it comes to certain parts of the body that are highlighted in these videos and these social media accounts, and what it's made to feel like men, of course, want these things. So now they're looking at themselves and they're like, looking at these models, looking at themselves, looking at these models, like, oh my God, I'm not like that. Therefore, my husband, future husband, is not going to like me because he likes those kind of women. And we'll get to the men as well. And indeed, a lot of the men are also conditioned to like specific parts of the body that are enhanced based on popular culture. So the woman has, to an extent, she's blameworthy for not taking care of herself and allowing herself to be in the worst shape of her life. Like, look, they have now fat shaming. What is that, fat shaming and fat phobic? It's basically another word of saying, let me be fat and let me get a heart attack and die in peace without you telling me, hey, wake up, stop being like this, not good for you. It's not just that I don't like the way you look, but it's that it's not healthy for you. The 21st century Gen Z world domination, it's like World War Z, it's like zombies. I'm not blaming and I'm not attacking the people who were born after 2000. But definitely, they're having issues. So instead of taking some accountability for their health and take care of themselves, they start coming up with all these terms and putting laws around so that no one can upset them and they can allow them to destroy themselves in peace and not feel bad about it. Feeling bad about it is something good, so you can actually change yourself. But no, you want to find some excuse that's going to turn into some legal label that you can use against people who might, okay, some people of course might be bullying you, and some people might just be telling you, hey, watch out. So that's where the insecurities come for women, this type of culture. Some are justified because some men are looking for, again, unrealistic things. Maybe due to porn, because everything is heightened and, magnified in porn. So men have been conditioned to want big things, big this, big that, and not all the women are having that. So the women, how do they respond? They go to surgeries. They do surgeries, implant this. Now there's even back implants. Before there was front implants mostly. Now there's lip implants. And yes, many Muslim sisters are doing that. Fixing this, fixing that. Everything is fixable, supposedly, with women. With men, not so easy, is it? And we'll get to the men. But with women, it seems that everything can be fixed with a surgery. And subhanallah, the economy and the market for this is huge, and it's huge in the Muslim countries. You just walk and see the aesthetic centers there, and then of course the women will be like, but my husband, but my future, but the men want this, so they're blaming the men. The men are saying you women are not good enough, and it's like back and forth. Well, that's another discussion about aesthetic surgeries and so on. But enough it's to know that the market for that is huge, especially Muslim countries, is huge. So now you got implants everywhere, and you think the men are gonna be happy? Now men are saying, no, we want natural. We want to go back. So it's funny. You're never gonna satisfy anyone, but you should take care of yourself. Actually, you wouldn't need surgeries if you take care of your body early enough. If you have a healthy lifestyle and take care of yourself. Anyway, again, people are going to blame me for blaming women. No. So let's go to the men. What are men's insecurities? Well, a lot of men's insecurities, I would say, come from porn. It's funny because traveling the world, I've seen so many interesting cultures where the men are they're so confident, yet they're sporting like a big belly, look like they themselves are pregnant, not their wives. I'm sorry, I apologize. But they're so confident. They think they are the Brad Pitt of of Arabia or something. MashaAllah, like proper confidence. He comes and walks like, everyone should bow down. Interesting. I looked into this a little bit. Mindset. It's about mindset. It works more with men. Women can't. I found, interestingly enough, women that are sometimes a little bit chubbier. I'm not going to name the culture because, again, people are going to think that I'm, highlighting this or that. But women, sometimes they're happier and they are very confident. For women, interesting. There's specific cultures that I've seen, few cultures. They're so happy. They're so jolly. They're so dolly. They're so, they could care less. They're just so happy with themselves. And some men actually like that. So you find some men with these kind of women very happy and very attracted to them. Hey, whatever, floats the boat. But with men, it's funny because their mindset in general, in specific cultures, they are very, very confident. Yet they'd have nothing to show for it. Interesting phenomenon. I'm trying to investigate more a little bit about this to understand. But I would narrow it down right now to mindset. It's their mindset. Some people say that these men are narcissistic, even though they have nothing to be narcissistic for. Interesting statements. Need to investigate more. But I will approach one sensitive topic when it comes to men's insecurities that's going to maybe help them for marriage. What are men the most insecure about? Is it their belly? Is it their eyes? Is it their jawline? Yes, there is a movement called black pill and incels. which is just, ridiculous. That they think that only you have to have specific aesthetic characteristics to be attractive or desirable to women. What I would say to these guys, visit some Middle Eastern country and you can see men that are not so good looking but super confident, and mashallah, they have very beautiful women with them as their wives. So, it's not just like that. It's not as simple as that. I would tell these black pills to just give up their misguidance. But what are all men insecure about? We'll continue after the adhan, inshallah. Alright, bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu. So the continuation of what we're talking about, insecurities in females and males. We talked about insecurities in males recently, the past part, and we talked about insecurities in women, and we said that for women, it's usually linked to social media, this phenomenon of female models, and women are always comparing, and they have low self-esteem. Now for men, this is something probably no one has ever talked about, and so I want you to take it very seriously. At the same time, if you feel like this is not something that you should watch, then don't watch it. It's the disclaimer. Do not watch. I'm going to try to make it as academically as possible, as clean as possible. But please try to understand that this is an issue for men. If you're a man, you know what I'm talking about. And don't deny it. You yourself have had this question. I've had this question sent from many, many different brothers. If you're a woman, most likely you also thought about it. Again, giving the scenario and the culture that we live in. It is the issue of, and it's a huge problem for men because it's probably one of the greatest insecurity, and that is, am I big enough? All right, so if you feel like, and you know what I mean, right? Is the organ, the male reproductive organ, big enough? If you, again, you don't want to hear this discussion, then please turn it off right now. We are targeting a specific audience, and this question, I might say that it is, even though it is something that probably everyone is questioning and thinking about, it might not be for everyone. It might be a bitter pill to swallow for many people. So, it is a huge insecurity for men. If you're still with us, let's get right into it. All right, bismillah. Now, I've done a bit of research on this issue from an academic perspective to understand if there's any studies. And indeed there are. There's even a classification. There's a world average. There's averages by countries. Yes, indeed, as I said, this has been on the minds of men and women for a very, very, very long time. You can even find writings in history about this question. Am I big enough as a man? Or what is big enough? What is the world average? Now, I'm not going to go into numbers right now. I don't think that's something that is appropriate necessarily right now for this. But, as I said, I looked at it from an academic perspective. What's the research? And then I looked at it from a biological experience perspective. And funny enough, there's a difference. From an academic perspective, a research-based perspective, does it matter or does it have to be a very big size? And the academic research on this says that yes, it does. And they said it's something psychological. It's something in the mind of the man and the woman. But specifically, one of the studies was targeting women. Like, does it really matter for a woman? And from a mind perspective of how they see it, of how it affects their mind, this was something that they said, yes, it matters. Now, when you went to the actual practical, physiological studies, even interviews, funny enough, There were interviews from the adult industry. Astaghfirullah. And here, obviously, these people are like always engaged in this kind of stuff. A'udhu billah. And they've seen all kinds of stuff. And they've tried all kinds of stuff. They said that, well, it doesn't really matter. As long as the connection or the actual act is done properly. Please understand what I'm talking about here, okay? Don't go crazy now and say that this is a perverted thing. Because for men, most men have thought about this, and I get so many messages. I'm getting married, I don't know if I'm the correct size, or I have a small size, or it's gonna cause problems. So, from my research, what I've seen, what I can take out of this is that physiologically, it doesn't really matter. And unless if it's like a real biological problem, which falls under almost like a disorder when you're very, very extremely small. And that is called micro something. I'm going to keep it as clean as possible. So with the micro something, then yeah, that's a medical problem. But the average or around is perfectly fine. Biologically speaking, based on the anatomy of a woman, to a couple, when they get married in halal, there's no need for something extravagant or huge, especially when a person, or specifically a woman, this is where it comes more of it makes more of a difference for a woman, especially if she's a virgin, right? If she's a virgin, you're the first man, basically what she will take from you is more than enough. The way her biology is, the way her anatomy is, it will be more than enough to enjoy, to be satisfied. Everything will be fine. Love and emotions and good intimacy everything will be able. So if a non-virgin woman marries a man, and as I said, there's a size difference, then that can actually make a difference. But it depends. Right? It's not something that's gonna necessarily cause a huge problem. There's a huge sensitivity and a huge point of concern for men. But biologically speaking, there is no problem. You can easily satisfy or please your wife, alhamdulillah, the way you are. Actually, the opposite is true, that when someone is too big, there can be really problematic issues with pain and other things. Okay, and actually it might lead to trauma and problems and might not be enjoyable. So that is actually true as well. It depends. But to answer your question again, it doesn't matter that much. Where does it matter? Here. Because things that are enlarged for some reason stimulate people. And I think, again, that's linked to social media and to the porn culture that has caused people to always look for enlargements, for the biggest thing, the big thing, everything is big. That's what's driven people to reach these psychological issues. There's a psychological issue that people care so much about this, and it leads to so much insecurity and insecurities amongst men. So inshallah, men, be okay that you are inshallah fine, unless you have a medical problem, and it's all about learning and connecting and loving and experiencing the halal and enjoying the halal. Inshallah is more than just a carnal desire. It is about passion and connection, inshallah. I hope I didn't ruffle too many feathers, but this is the reality. Most men know what I'm talking about. Many men have been messaging about this, and women also. Don't tell me you don't think about this. SubhanAllah. And I've seen a so-called Muslima coach who was talking about spacers and enlargers, because that's going to prepare you for the wedding night. Pretty much advising women to take their own virginity with these things that they insert inside themselves. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide her. What a misguidance. Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed us with a natural act, a beautiful thing. We need to keep it halal. The whole process of the first night is itself an experience that is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.